what are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz is us. Us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it, the fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome back to Closing the Gap, the truth about black wealth. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton, founder and president of Hamilton Wealth Advisors. Back again with my partner, Mr. T. Diddy T. Mills Realty Group here in Birmingham, Alabama. We want to jump right back into it, man. And, you know, of course, we always hear about, you know, the benefits and value of owning a home. Right. One of the greatest benefits and the value of owning a home, of course, we always hear about is the equity that we gain in our home.
Yes.
So, and we're hearing a lot about that now with the rising home prices. So, you know, how can we use it? How does it accumulate? How can we access it? You know, break that down for me.
Yeah, so before I got into real estate, I never thought of it that way, right? You know, everybody says generational wealth and how can you do it? And real estate's a good avenue, but what does that really mean, right? Like, what does that look like? So I give you a great example. During my first year in real estate, I was representing a buyer. We was buying a house in Pinson. Pinson's a nice area, but it's not like the upper echelon area of Birmingham, right? But it's a decent middle class family, neighborhood or whatever. So my buyer was buying a house from an older couple who had lived there maybe 10, 15 years. No special upgrades. He just maintained it, maybe put a roof on it, right? Nothing elaborate. We bought it, I don't even want to say it was $200,000. Very medium, you know, household budget or whatever. So as we're at the table, the attorney goes through, you know, how much money my buyer had to bring to the table. And then they also discuss how much money the seller's gonna net. This dude walked away, man, with like $150,000 from the sale of his home. Wow. And that was like the first aha moment I ever had. I was like, that's real money. And all he did was sell his house that he's been living in for the last 10, 15 years. I immediately called my wife. I said, hey, this real estate thing is real, man. We've been trying to look at these hustles and all that. You don't have to. You just can invest smart and figure out how to do it. Now, the key to that is you get that money, now you go invest it in something that's going to make you some money, right? But the source of the money came from real estate. You know, just being transparent, my wife and I, our first house we bought in Bessemer for, I think, $189. Lived there for about maybe 5 years, maybe 4. Didn't do nothing. Like, I put it on the market, touch up paint, that was it. We walked away with $45,000. And didn't do nothing but live in it. Just lived there. Literally just lived in it. You're right. So I'm like, this thing is real. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And so that's why I always tell people, the same thing that you do every day is pay rent or pay mortgage. You gotta live somewhere, right? So my thing is, why not invest that in something that's gonna make you some money? And so I always tell people, like, look at it from that standpoint. A lot of people say, well, I don't know if I want to stay in Birmingham, but you got to stay somewhere. That's the thing I'm trying to get you to see. It's not that you can't sell it. And with the rising prices right now, man, it's ridiculous what I'm seeing happening. I mean, I give it to you like this, and you can look it up yourself. That same house I sold 2 years ago for $220 is back on the market right now for $260. 2 years later. Wow. Just 2 years later, and they haven't done nothing to it either. So it's just like, if you want to figure out how to get into investing game, just buy some real estate. Buy and hold. And that strategy works all across the table. I don't care if you're buying real estate, if you're buying stocks, you know, you're buying bonds, whatever you're doing. If you're buying whole, your return on your money will be there. Because time is the greatest factor in money. That's it. Just time. Just time. You gotta have time. You gotta be patient. And another thing you touched on, man, and what we've kind of hit on a little bit, and I think, you know, people need to understand and pick up on, is that the harder it is to get into something, the more valuable and the more lucrative the results that come out of it. You know, it's a whole lot easier to get into an apartment than it is to get into a house. But there's no coincidence. We look at the value and the equity that can generate from a home versus there's nothing that can be returned, you know, from a lease on an apartment. So, you know, we have to start to understand that. And I'm real big on that. Of course, this is what this podcast is all about. It's about closing the gap in our community and creating that generational wealth. And, you know, like I said, real estate is created
you know, as many millionaires, actually probably more millionaires than any other, you know, sector than anything else outside of being a business owner or actually being, you know, in the stock market. So, you know, those three entities, either you're a business owner, you're in real estate, or you're in the market. You know, you got to be in one of them in order to
trace it back. If you trace any millionaires' origins back to how they got their money, I guarantee it's some real estate in there.
It's always some real estate in the portfolio. It's going to be diversified. It's going to be a business owner. It's going to be, so we have to understand in our community, I think that there's a process to getting things done. And a lot of times we like to shortcut the process. We want, you know, we want it right now. We want it quick, fast, and in a hurry, but not understanding that if we go through the process, take our time, working with the professional that can help us escape some of the pitfalls, you know, and some of the bad decisions, and provide us that valuable insight and information. So if I got with somebody like you, you know, to buy my first house, for example, I took an L on my first house. You know, because the realtor, and I'm not gonna say she did a bad job, but I can't say she did a great job. The loan officer, he definitely took advantage of it, because I didn't get a first-time home buyer, you know, opportunity. He treated me like I was an experienced, you know, second, third time home buyer.
Give you options.
You know, he didn't provide any options. I came with the down payment. You know, and I'm like, that was actually legitimately almost 10%. Of what the house was. And at this time, you know, I was self-employed, but they were still offering steady loans at that time. It wasn't like it is now.
So that was the easy
So that was the easy qualifying days. I'm like, I should have had a great opportunity.
Back then, they said if you could fog a mirror, you should be able to buy.
Well, exactly. But I did not get the right people that provided the right information, insight to help me. So what you said, I mean, it's valuable because you're a professional and you take pride in what you do. You're giving all the information. You're giving access to opportunities that can, well, these buyers can walk away with a check. I walked away cutting the check. I should have been walking away probably with the check, with a lower rate, you know, with some type of benefit. So, I mean, you know, understanding, knowing that now, you know, I can look back and like say, you know better, we can do better. You know, people perish due to lack of knowledge, and you know, we suffer from that greatly in our community, and we have to do a better job at that. And you know, it's on us. You know, it's why we do this, and why we have you know, specialists such as yourself.
You took the words out of my mouth, man. I feel like God gave me this platform to use me. You know, I've always used this story. As you know, I'm a deacon in the church, so let me make sure I put that out there. During a leadership conference, it was probably like 4 years ago. It was like January, like, you know, right when the year was kicking off. All of the department heads, or whatever you want to call it, had to come together. We just preparing for the year, right, to work in the church. And the thing was, are you using the talent that God gave you, right? So as everybody's going around talking, I'm like, man, I don't really know what talent. I mean, I don't know. Like, am I? And it hit me. Real estate. He gave you real estate. So use that to bless people. And so I always say, man, I really feel like it's a ministry, man. I know I talk to probably twice as many people actually buy a house from me. And that's okay. Whether it's social media, whether it's in person, whether it's on the phone. I've had people, man, hit me up for questions, then I see them go buy with somebody else. I'm like, all right, I guess I get blessed on the back end. You know what I mean? You know, it is what it is. But you can't worry about that, right? You know, that, like you said, God gave us this opportunity and the platform to do such things like we're doing now. And so just got to keep doing it, man, feeding the people.
I mean, and that's a blessing, man, because I'm real big on that. Of course, it's actually crazy you said that, because we talked about this on some of our previous episodes, that I'm a firm believer that your gift will make room for you. You know, man that's skillful in his works will be placed before great men. So I think, you know, where it starts off is asking. The first thing you did that I call was that he asked. He asked God to reveal to him, and God told him real estate. So once you do that, we know that faith without works is dead. After that, you went to work.
That's it.
Regardless of what's going on, and because you have a servant's heart, not a sales heart, you put people in the best possible position for success, and you're continually rewarded and blessed from that.
There you go.
And we want to dive more into that in just a second. Be back at you. Welcome to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, where our goal is to change the financial landscape of the African American community by providing the best of the best in financial professionals to help close the gap on financial wellness, wealth creation, and wealth transference. We're continuing to expand and grow our reach and add qualified advisors to our team. Help us to teach our community how to create generational wealth. We're looking for passionate, selfless, and professional advisors that pride themselves in the core beliefs that education plus expertise leads to proper execution. So if you think this opportunity may be for you, ask yourself this question: what is your why? And if the answer is you want to be a professional successor advisor that makes a positive impact in the lives of all you come into contact with, contact us about joining our team today. as we look to move forward, continue to be a blessing to those who would never come into contact with by creating a successful financial plan today. We're right back at you. Welcome back to Closing the Gap. Once again, we're going to pick back up with my man T. Diddy, author extraordinaire of the book, Nobody Cares, Work Harder.
That's right.
If you don't got it, go get it. Check it out. I know it's on Amazon. I bought a couple copies myself.
I appreciate that,
it's
bro.
inspirational. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of picks up what we left off, man. And, you know, your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know your gift, I've watched your gift make room for you. I watch you grow, watch you expand. You know, proud of you. Glad to see everything that you're doing in the community, not just for yourself, but, you know, using your platform to be a blessing to others.
Right.
You know, not just for your employees, but your clients and just the community as a whole with your scholarship program and everything, man. So, you know, I'm always elated to see brothers that, you know, I've known for years, just to watch them grow and evolve and, you know, continue to do great works in the community, man. But, you know, you got a new deal going on, man. Tell me a little bit about what you got, man.
Yeah, so it sounds funny when you were just talking about all that stuff. I said, who is this guy talking about? Man, no, you're right, man. God has been good and just gave me opportunities to just grow and do things that I've always wanted to do, such as the book. I've always just wanted to write a book, and part of it was our partners over at Create Live Studio has always pushed me and saying you need to write a book. And so last year during COVID, man, I finally got the courage and the time to write a book and kind of tell my story. So it's been good, man. So I appreciate that. If you don't have it, like I said, it's on Amazon. Nobody Cares, Work Harder. Scholarship Fund, that's amazing too. We're actually planning that ceremony right now. It's year 2, man. We got 3 deserving seniors that we're giving scholarships to. And all this was created from the platform of real estate, right? Like that's it. You know, selling houses, opening doors for people, and as you said, other doors are opening up. And then, you know, to top that off, you know, finally got into flipping houses, which is ironically what I wanted to do before becoming a realtor. And a lot of people don't know that. I never really wanted to be a realtor. Really because I didn't know what realtors did, right? Like at that time, social media, you didn't see a lot of realtors out and it wasn't like a younger person field. And so I just really, I was naive to what I guess a realtor could do and all that stuff. So flipping houses was always appealing. I always said it was sexy. I always felt like real estate was sexy, man. Like you could put nice suits on and drive around and put your frames on and make a lot of money, right? That's what TV shows. Yeah. That's like 10% of real estate. To be
a lot of work behind the scenes.
Man, a lot of work, a lot of headaches and stressful calls. But yeah, man, so last year got into flipping houses, so that's our new business. And it's been great, man. It's nothing like, you know, taking a house and making it brand new and putting a new family in it, and it's been fun. It's work, but it's different kind of work. You know, it's a lot more controlled versus being a realtor.
Tell me what's one or two things that you realized once you got into the process of flipping houses that surprised you, or where, you know, that was, you know, or something that was new to you that you just was unexpected?
Honestly, man, it's not as hard as I thought. The key to it is a good contractor, right? Because I'm just managing. I'm not doing anything. Like, so let's be clear. I ain't painting, I ain't doing none of that. My job is more so the intellectual part. Like, so I find the properties, run the numbers, right? As far as comps, what it would take to rehab it, what it would take to sell it, all of that good stuff. And then just put the team together. So I have a partner, and he and I basically just do it together. But the key to our whole business is a good contractor. So what we do, we'll find a property. We already have projected our profit and created our rehab budget and say, okay, we got $50,000 for rehab. Can you do it, yes or no? Versus let him tell us what it's gonna cost. That way we can control the deal. And if he can't do it at that price, fine, we find another contractor. But I will tell you, the key is to pay. Don't be cheap. You can't get cheap, because you'll have a headache, you'll have a project that took 3 months versus 1. You know what I mean?
Get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. And so we finally find a guy, man, he really makes the job easy. So that, like, honestly, for somebody who wanted to do it for so many years and finally get into it, it's like, it really ain't as hard as you think. I mean, but you gotta have the experts that you hired to really do the stressful stuff.
Did you catch what he just said? The experts that you hire. So regardless of what field you're in, of course, in this situation, he's a realtor by trade, a professional realtor. He's flipping his own houses, but one thing I heard is that he don't fix them himself. No. He's not working on the house himself. He go finds a professional contractor to bring in and pay them a adequate fee or construction costs to maintain and do whatever work needs to be done. Also, you're doing it so they can get it done in a timely fashion, because time is money. Time is money. Especially when you obviously flipping a house. Right. You know, the longer you hold it.
So you got holding costs, right? You got other people you got to pay. And so the key to having a good contractor is now I just talk to him and he manages the job. So it's his job to get on the plumber, the electrician, the flooring guy, the paint guy. That's your job, bro. My job is to tell you, hey, here's our deadline. When I come in, it should be where it's supposed to be. If it's not, tell me why. So it's really all just leadership and management. That's really what it is. But it's beautiful, man. It's so cool to see families like move in your house and be like, man, we actually did that. And we're focused more on the inner city, like the areas like the Fairfields, the Bessemers, the East Lake, you know, trying to revitalize neighborhoods. And I mean, of course, we'll do some high-end stuff. I mean, who wouldn't, right? But it's something different about doing it in your own neighborhood.
Take care of people that look like you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can tell that, man. I mean, you know, you can. For me, it's all about a feeling. You can feel the passion the person has for doing what they're doing. You can feel when a person's, you know, wants to put their best foot forward, and they have you as the central focus of, you know, the task at hand versus someone who's strictly in it to make a profit. Right. You know, it's a difference in the information they give. It's a difference in the way they give the information. You know, and I got a question for you, man. I'm curious, Seth, with all that you got going on, how hard has it been to tell people no?
I've learned to do it. I've learned to do it, but it's never really a no. Is you just find them another
just not right now.
I find somebody that can help them. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's not about me, right? It's me knowing I can't do what you need me to do. So it's really about you. Now, in the beginning of my career, I said yes to everything. And my business coach used to always get on me about it. She was like, you just let other people control your calendar. And when that happens, you're no good to nobody. But because you have that servant heart, you want to help everybody, right? But at the end of the day, you the one stressed at the end, right? And everybody else, they got what they need, now they go.
And I said that for that specific reason, because, you know, as you grow, as you expand, and as you take your business to the next level, I mean, of course, every successful person understands that time is their greatest asset. That's it. It's not even the money. The money will take care of itself, especially if I have the time to work and do what I'm doing, you know. So I was always a person that believed and learned early on that, you know, a guy told me, said, once you learn how to say no, that's the most powerful word that you're gonna have in your vocabulary, because once you learn that, you know, because you've taken back control over your schedule, your time. Because I would have things like I said, when you got that service heart, you run around trying to service people and help this person and help that person, and it's just not enough hours in a day. Especially when you need to be helping yourself grow and get better and learn and educate and find more properties and sell more properties and close more deals and raise a family and, you know, take care of a wife and kids. That's a whole other job in itself that, you know, we have now that we didn't have 20 years ago. So, you know, and that job is actually more important than what we do on a day-to-day basis. That's
the reason we do it. Yeah. Right? It's so funny. It's going to laugh at this. But I really got that from Diddy. The whole T Diddy thing is so funny. But it was an interview, it was a long time ago, and they asked him, like, what was his biggest strength? Being able to say no and walk away from a deal. Knowing you could walk away from $2 million. He said, but that showed people how valuable he would be to them. They're like, this man can turn this down. He was like, so once you get to the point where you can say no to stuff, it's kind of like something that's exclusive, right? I want it just because I can't get it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But if you're just saying yes all the time, and it kind of...
Well, you have to create your own value. If you don't place value on your time and the people who have access to you, then the world will dictate it to you, and they will basically run you into the ground and run you ragged and not value you. So, you know, taking ownership, you know, over your calendar, over your lifestyle, you know, over your life in general, you know, makes you way more productive, and actually, like you said, makes you way more valuable. You know, I would tell people, you know, I've never done a lot of marketing, obviously. You know, I'm learning to be more like my guy T did as he educated.
Man, you're doing real good, man.
But
I need a picture with this afterwards.
I took that because I looked at, obviously, you know, Rolls Royce and Bentley. You know, high-end products don't have commercials.
They don't have to.
Louis Vuitton, you've never seen a Louis Vuitton commercial. But people with money know where to go to get it. So, you know, because they place value on themselves. Right now, if you go to any Louis store in the United States of America, there's a line outside to get in. And people are standing in line. Louis has not dropped the price of any item in their store since COVID. Like I say, the prices have went up because they've maintained their value and that exclusivity. And I think we can take those same principles and apply it to our lives and make ourselves more valuable. Back at you.
Absolutely.